G'day everyone, welcome to On The Wire. I'm Warren Davies, the Unbreakable Farmer, and today my guest has got an inspirational story, how he has overcome adversity and he is helping other people do the same. I'd like to welcome today Peter Gallagher, that heart guy. Welcome Pete, thanks for joining me on The Wire.
G'day mate, how you going?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
That's good.
I really thank you for joining me today and to share your story with us and a bit about what you do now and what's happened in the past. So I suppose we'll jump straight into it, mate, and just if you can just share with everyone watching a little bit about your story and you know what your journey's been like and how it's got to you to where you are today.
For sure. Well, in the same way that you're known as the Unbreakable Farmer, I'm known as that heart guy. And the reason for that is because I was born with congenital heart disease. So basically, when I was born, my aortic valve didn't function properly. And I was also born with a hole in my heart. So for the first 13 years of my life, just backwards and forwards, because I grew up in the country, in Victoria, backwards and forwards to Melbourne to the hospital, and at the age of 13 had my first open heart surgery. And I guess for me, open heart surgery, I can kind of say it a little bit flippantly, because for me having heart problems and open heart surgery is a little bit like having elbows. You know, you've got them, and it just is what it is. You know,
it's like you just said. Yeah, like I had my first open heart surgery. Like, oh wow, you know, it's like what happens. Everyone does that.
Exactly right. So for me, that was the first one at age 13. And I guess too, when we talk about surgery these days, we don't often think about the physical process of it and the way it actually happens.
Yeah.
Because if you think about heart surgery, you know, and your heart kind of sits in here in the centre of your chest, and it's protected by your sternum and your ribs. You know, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So to get to your heart, it's actually quite a process. You know, cutting your skin open and dragging that back, and then sawing through your sternum literally, and then pulling your rib cage out. And then you've kind of got your heart sitting there and it's just pumping away like this. And, you know, to operate on something that's doing that would be pretty bloody difficult. It would be kind of like trying to herd cats, you know, it's difficult to do. So they switch your heart off and put you on the heart-lung machine to keep oxygen flowing through your brain and your whole body and what have you. Do what they have to do with your heart, and then they plonk it all back in and put it all back together again.
So it's a massive process. It's not like keyhole surgery or anything like that. They're basically cutting you open, literally in half, just to find, I suppose, apart from every other, like your brain and all that, your heart's your major thing. If that's, you know, if they don't fix that, well, you're in a bit of trouble, aren't you?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So I had that happen to me when I was 13. Where they got to my valve and just kind of stretched it open. They did it again when I was 16 because that process didn't last as long as they thought it might have. And when I was 16, they replaced my valve with another person's valve. And they thought that would last about 10 years because it's not your own. Eventually it starts to just kind of wear out and tire out. So
that process of another person's valve, was that meaning that you were on a waiting list for like a donor organ kind of thing? Was that, or is it no? It wasn't waiting for that phone call. It's just something.
Yeah, it's kind of, because it's just in essence, it's just a bit of tissue.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're waiting for a whole heart or a whole kidney or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a bit of tissue in essence. So, you know, there's lots of people who'll say, you know, I donate my everything, and you might not be able to use their heart or their kidneys, but you can use some of their tissue. So I think they've got a few in the fridge.
Yeah, cool.
So that wasn't too hard to organise. So they said that it'd last about 10 years. It did. So when I was 27, I had it replaced again because it had just worn out. And when it wears out, I don't get enough blood through my body, and if I'm not getting enough blood, I'm not getting enough oxygen. So I'm not doing the things day to day that you just take for granted.
Yeah.
Not realising that you're breathing, I guess.
Yes.
Walking to the corner shop becomes a challenge. But that's okay. So when I was 27, they replaced that and actually put a pig valve in, which I thought was quite unique. I did get straight back into eating bacon, though. I had no problem with that at all. And again, they said that would probably last 10 to 15 years before they'd have to see what happened again. So that was when I was 27, so in 2001. In 2011, I got a virus that apparently is quite common for people who've had heart disease.
Yeah.
I'd actually never heard of it. And you'd think after 3 heart surgeries, somebody might have told me. But I got this virus, and it's called endocarditis. It's basically a virus that goes into the outer layer of your heart. I was actually very, very lucky. A lot of people who get that are very, very sick, and it actually, you can go from being a very healthy person to with no heart problems, get endocarditis, and then, one day you're at work and the next day you're in a hospital with your chest getting ripped open.
Yeah, so that's something that can affect just a normal healthy person. Like it's something that they can contract, it not necessarily related to the heart surgery. It's just something that people can contract.
Yeah, but if you've already had heart surgery or heart disease, you're just at a higher risk.
Yeah, you're more exposed to the risk. And just taking you back a step, because and you hit on the point after your first heart surgery about saying, well, I had heart surgery, but we're talking now you've had 3.
Yep.
So the same process you went through 3 times, like you've been through that same process that many times. So how has that impacted, apart from obviously the obvious with your heart, how has that impacted on you physically as well, being sawn in half basically 3 times?
I think at that stage of my life, it probably didn't really impact me a lot. I was still young then, I guess, effectively. I was 27, I think. So throughout my childhood and my teenage years, I was never allowed to play sport. So, I didn't feel like I missed out on anything by, still not being part of the footy team or whatever. Because in the 20s, I just did other things.
Yeah.
So, I think at that stage, at that 27-year-old age, I think I was okay. Again, it goes back to that, it's just like having elbows. It was just
part of your life.
Part of my life.
Yeah.
And again, I think I'd kind of, each time I'd been sick and then became well again. So you could kind of see the reason why they would do it. So it was kind of like, fall down a little bit, bounce back up, back into life.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Yeah. Really showing that.
Probably a good way of saying that.
You're really showing that's what On The Wire is all about showing that resilience and persistence and determination and overcoming adversity. So you were overcoming, like the resilience that you were showing, you're just bouncing back, and that's a good, my good explanation of what resilience is like you're getting knocked down and dusting yourself off and getting back up and going again. So yeah, and that's what you were showing it differently because it was your health that was being affected.
Yep. So when I was 39, I got the endocarditis.
Yeah.
And I was actually very, very sick. I thought I was in bed for a couple of days thinking I had the flu. And eventually at 1 o'clock in the morning, I kind of said, look, I think we need to go to hospital. And the doctors did say I was probably about 2 hours away from all of my organs just switching off. I was pretty crook, but I was lucky. So what they actually do when you've got this is they just flood you with antibiotics. And the first couple of days, if they don't actually know what is causing the virus to attack, they don't know what the virus is. So they just flood you with every antibiotic they can think of. And I remember looking up at one stage and I had 7 drip lines going into my arms, just literally just flooding my body with antibiotics. But I was really lucky because at that stage, that illness didn't then go into heart surgery for me. So for a lot of people it does, but for me, I was able to get well again.
So just overcome it yourself. You didn't need any surgery to fix it. You're just something you just overcame.
Yep.
Does that have a long lasting effect then on you, or was it something as in did it kill muscle or the heart muscle or anything like that? Did it cause any damage like that?
Nothing major.
Yeah.
Certainly, when I got sick, then I was actually very fit. I'd been personal training for a couple of months, probably 6 months. I was probably the fittest I'd ever been. So to be knocked down was a bit of a shock to me at that stage. And the doctors did say if I hadn't been so fit, I probably wouldn't have survived that process.
Yeah.
But that was in the February of 2011. By June, July, I was back at work full time. So it was a very slow process. It knocked me about, but, I knew that there was a steady process back to recovery. I think June, July, I got back to work. And then by September, I could feel that thing coming back where I couldn't breathe properly.
Yeah.
And so I went off to a cardiologist and they said, yeah, it's time to replace the valve again. So we're up to number 4 at this stage. So I went in for heart surgery at St V's here in Melbourne. They replaced the valve with a mechanical valve, which no one told me too much about. The surgeon said to me, look, we're going to do a mechanical valve for you. And the reason being is because we don't really want to have to ever open you up again.
Yeah.
So the mechanical valve is no guarantee, but it's probably the best option that we've got to say we're never going to have to come near your chest again.
Yeah.
So I was okay with that. I'm like, yep, do what you got to do, mate. Chuck a mechanical valve in if you have to.
Been there, done that. Try this one this time.
Yeah. So we did that. That was 2011, end of 2011. I think one of the interesting parts of that process for me was that they didn't tell me about the mechanical valve. And if you think of 2 bits of metal hitting each other kind of like that,
yep,
they make a clicking noise.
Yep.
And no one told me that.
Okay.
So I woke up to this top half of my body just clicking. And to this day, and to this very second, all I can hear is just this clicking noise, which I guess is a small price to pay for being alive.
So you can are you just aware of it, or can everyone hear it?
Other people can hear it.
Yep.
I've had people say to me, "Gee, your watch is loud." I'm like, "No, it's not my watch." So
I'm a musician. I'm just
to give you an example. I was at the chemist the other day.
I
lost you there for a second. My day, for example, and the girl who was on the other side of the counter putting the stuff through the cash register. She'd actually. She's new to the chemist, so she doesn't know my story. Doesn't know me particularly well, and I kind of just gave her some little bits of the information, and then from across the cash register and across the counter, she was like, "So that clicking noise I can hear, is that your heart?" I'm like, "Absolutely, it is." So from a good metre away, and the sounds of a chemist and a shopping centre, she could hear it. So it's pretty loud at times.
Yeah, so that's probably, I suppose it's something that you get used to, but it's a little bit disconcerting as well when you sound like a walking time bomb or a walking metronome or something like that. That you're probably good. You'd be a good musician. You'd be able to keep good time anyway.
Yeah, well, if it's the right time you want.
Yeah, that's it. Oh well, you just play songs that are at that time.
to make sure my heart rate doesn't go up.
That's it.
But it was, well, it was interesting because the surgeon came in afterwards. And it was the first time I remember seeing him anyway. He'd probably been in before that. But he came in and he was all excited. And he was telling me about the surgery and what a success it was. And he was just going crazy. He was just a really excitable man. And he said to me after he'd finished speaking, he said, "Oh, how do you feel?" And I said, "No one told me about this ticking." And he looked at me and he went, "Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it?" And I went, "Yeah, there you go. There's the answer."
Yeah.
As much as I didn't feel it was wonderful at the time, those words stuck with me, and over time I've gone, "Yeah, it's wonderful." And I'm pretty bloody lucky.
Yeah.
So
in total, how many surgeries was that you had?
That's up to number 4.
Yeah.
But like a good auctioneer, we can keep going if you like.
Oh, okay. So there's more, is there any advance on number 4?
But wait, there's more.
Right.
So when was that? 2011. I think I was back fully into work by mid 2012. Back into personal training October 2012. And was just getting back into life, fully back into life. Life was good. There were some challenges, I guess, around fear. You know, when you've got this virus that attacks you and no one can tell you how you got it, what caused it, what could make it come back, what can stop it from coming back.
Yep.
And apparently the type of virus I had was quite an unusual one to have.
Yep.
So even that was like, well, you know, why did I get that? Why didn't I get the common one that everyone else gets?
Why me? Why?
Yeah, and not a why me in a complaining way, but just, you know, it does put fear into you, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't let it consume me. But so as I was saying, got back into life, back into personal training, back into just normal living, and then August 2014, I can recall I'd actually got quite fit again. So I can never remember the name of it, but you know, if you've got a big weight,
the barbell
things.
Yeah.
And I had one of those with 100 kilos on my shoulders, doing standing lifting with 100 kilos on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So I'd got pretty fit again. I'd got back into life, you know, with a reasonable amount of success. And it was the Friday night after I'd just done that lift the day before. And we were at the pub having some beers, and I just suddenly was freezing cold, just freezing cold. And I got this kind of shake that I recall having in 2011. And I just knew. It was like...
You knew straight away.
It's back. And I didn't want to go to the hospital straight away because I thought all they're going to do is just think I'm drunk. So we went home, went to bed for a couple of hours, woke up, just went, yeah, got to go. Walked into St V's, into ER, and I can tell you it's the best way to get straight through that door.
Yeah.
You say I've had open heart surgery 4 times and endocarditis once, and I think I've got it again. My bum literally didn't hit the seat and I was through that door.
Yeah.
And like last time, they just not sure what to do, so let's just put every antibiotic known to man into your system and start flooding me. So they did that, worked out that it was endocarditis again. It takes 3 or 4 days for them to work it out. Also the same bug again that I'd had the previous time.
So not the normal bug, but one that's a little bit different.
The off-the-shelf one.
Yeah.
And we... I was in hospital for a couple of weeks, and the doctors were saying, you know, we think we've got it. We think we're going to be fine. And for some strange reason, I actually asked them to do a test where they put the camera down your throat and just check my heart out.
Yep.
And they'd done it the week before and said, you know, everything looked good. And as I said, for some strange reason, I asked them to do it again, and I didn't enjoy that process. It's not fun.
Right.
So they did that on the Monday, and on the Tuesday they came in and said, got the results from the camera and it's not good. And on the Wednesday morning, they did open heart surgery number 5. So literally less than 24 hours notice to kind of go, yeah, it's a mess in there. And the surgeon actually told me later, it was when he cut me open, he said it was like a car accident in there.
Yeah.
And he said to me the night before, he's like, it's probably not going to work. So there you go. But it did work. What was meant to be maybe a 4 or 5 hour surgery, I think went for 10 or 11 hours. My understanding is I had a stroke during the process, died during the process, was unconscious for days afterwards.
Yeah.
Came back.
So in that operation, what did they actually do? Like, was that involve a new valve, or just a little bit of a rebuild, or?
Yeah, the valve luckily was fine.
Yeah.
But the previous surgery, when they put the mechanical valve in, they'd also just done a rebuild of my aorta.
Yep.
I kind of wrap it with Dacron, kind of like just material.
Yep.
Just rebuild it. Well, the bug had got into that.
Okay.
Had eaten away at that, and it was literally just not there.
Yeah. So that anyone that knows anything about human anatomy, your aorta is fairly important, and if it's not working properly, you're in a bit of strife.
Yeah, a lot. And that could have been the case. It could have been, one more day,
and that could have been
would have just
curtains. Yeah.
So they had to rebuild. So they literally had to scrape away all that work they'd done before because they knew the bug was in there.
Yeah.
And then rebuilt that, and then also just had to do some work on my pulmonary valve because it had been fiddled around with. And then here I am.
So, mate, with that incredible story of just consistently being, I suppose, knocked down by something that you thought was fixed, and then you had to go through the same process over and over again just to be here today. How are you using that message today to help other people?
It's really interesting, I guess, because it's such a long story and it encompasses lots of periods of my life. And I guess you kind of get to that age, where I am now, 45, where you're looking back at things and thinking about things that have happened and how did you react and did you react properly and what have you. I think for me, there's 2 messages that I think that I'm thinking about a lot at the moment, because I think it changes a bit.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I'm thinking about at the moment is not giving up. I can recall sitting in hospital just with the drugs in me and, the drip.
Yeah.
And I was saying that they thought everything was fine. This is before the last heart surgery. And I can recall my brother-in-law saying, "What will you do if they have to have another heart surgery?" And I said, "I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm just that's it."
Yeah.
And I said, but I also backed that up with, "But I'm really confident that I'm not going to need it, so it doesn't matter." And when the doctors came in and said to me, "Look, we're really sorry, but this isn't working and we're going to have to go back in," I just said, "Yep, okay, no worries." Literally, just like that. I heard them say, there was 2 of them, I heard them say as they were walking out of the room, I'm like, "Gee, that went a lot easier than we thought it was going to."
Thought they had to go into sales mode and really sell it to you, and you just said, no worries, I'll take that one.
Yeah. So, and I guess through that whole day, that 24 hours was, I guess, I can remember ringing my mum and ringing my partner and saying, "You got to get here." Mum still lives in the country, so she was at best 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And my partner and I were kind of, we were stunned. I think for probably 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And then I just said, we can't control any of this. So let's go out with a bang. Let's just have a good day.
Yeah.
And we kind of had a steady stream of people coming through. It's kind of like I've said to people, what we really should have done was, put up a mirror ball and ordered lots of pizza and beer, because it kind of seemed like a bit of a party. There was no one coming in crying and thinking, oh, Pete's going to die. There was no goodbyes. It was just, just get on with it.
Yeah.
So I think, just not panicking about stuff that I can't control.
Yeah.
Is something that I do go back to a lot.
And I think I explain when I'm speaking, and obviously there's my story and then there's my family's story as well, and all those stories and the journey of our life involves other stuff, and one incident especially that happened with my wife, and that was one of those days, like you're explaining, and that was I suppose that's a real defining sign of resilience in our family, because it was basically, this is serious and life-threatening, but what other choice have we got except keep moving forward?
Yeah.
Because if we had to stop that day, who knows what would have happened? And the same to you, if you had to just said, no, I'm not going to, well, did that mean that Pete was going to be here for a day? Or was he going to be here for another year? Or don't know. So I think you're left... Your inner resilience takes over and just says, let's keep going. Even though there's apprehension and all that sort of stuff, you just keep moving forward. You just that's the bounce forward. Like you've hit the ground, you've got the news, now you bounce up and you just keep moving. And that's kind of what you're explaining. I think how you felt, you just, it was a shock and all that, but you just got to keep moving. And if you don't, you could be in strife.
Yeah, and I think too, I had a grandmother who I was very close to, but she was sick. I don't remember her being well.
Yeah.
So she was basically sick from a young age, and she died, I think she was 65 or 66.
Yeah.
And I was 17 or 18 when she died. And I remember having conversations with Mum and Dad about her. She ended up in her late 50s, early 60s, just receiving food through a tube straight into her stomach.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I remember saying, why would you live like that? And having a conversation with my parents about that inner human desire to keep living.
Yeah.
I think we all have that, it's just like, well, I'm not going to give up. I want to keep living.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I kind of dwell on a bit as well. It's like, I think like, you with your family story, because I've heard you tell that story. And my story here, it's like, well, actually when push comes to shove, I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig my heels in and keep having a go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's probably the one thing. Another thing, I guess, at the moment that's really top of mind for me at the minute is actually looking after the people who look after the sick people.
Yep.
I'm very, very lucky that I have a partner who'll drop everything for me if I need.
Yep.
I have family and friends who will do the exact same thing. I've had, a few instances in hospitals where the doctors and nurses have just gone, we've never seen anyone with so much support. I literally just have this team that appears from nowhere. But I think in particular, say with a direct partner or say upwards to my mother or what have you, that these people do a lot of caring and they're going through an emotional journey and they're going through, a whole heap of crap
that
they don't talk about because everyone's worried about Peter and how's Peter going.
Yeah.
And so I guess at the moment, one of the messages that I want to get across is that we need to start looking after the people who look after us. Because I don't think we do it very well as a society. I think the people who do the caring just do the stiff upper lip thing and they keep going on.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get a message across about that. But it is something that's just toying with me at the minute. For no reason. I don't know why it's come to the surface, but it has.
But it's what you're saying, Eric. It's amazing, and if if you've watched, or any of the other people watching have watched any of the other episodes of On the Wire, there's a common theme that comes through a lot of them, and it's about building a team, whether it's business and wanting to succeed. Well, you can't do it by yourself. You need to have a team around you. And I speak about it when I speak about community. Like community, you need to surround yourself with community. And like we use the adage with one of our kids that it takes a village to raise a child. And we've drawn on our village at times to help get our kids through to the next step, because we mightn't have the resources to be able to do it, and you're the same with your health. Your health issues is that you've got a community around you. And obviously, lucky to have those people around you, and I don't think they don't need thanks or caring, but it is. I know from being on that carer's side, it's heartbreaking watching someone that you love that's struggling with a health issue, and especially then when they do get better like you are now, worrying about mentioning it, because it's not because is that the right thing to do or is it the wrong thing to do? But surrounding yourself with community and accepting help, and and that's one thing. Like, you can't do it by yourself, and you would attest to that. You couldn't have done this whole journey by yourself, because you need, whether it's the doctors at the external edge of your circle of influence, or it's the inner close ones where with your partner and with your family and friends and all that. You just need that group of people around you to support you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, when you were talking about the doctors, the thing that popped into my head was one of my little mantras in life is to say thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do that very well, particularly if you're a patient. You can sometimes get a little bit self-righteous and a little bit, hey, I'm sick and it's all about me. And I think a little bit of that's okay. And there are days when a lot of that's okay.
Yeah.
But you've also got to remember to be thankful and grateful.
Yeah.
So I always made a point when I was in hospital, and sometimes I was in hospital for a couple of months at a time.
Yeah.
Making sure that you thanked the people who came in and swept the floor every day, and just they've got a fairly thankless task, but they've just made your day just that little bit easier.
Yeah.
So from everyone, from that level right through to people who are close to you, just have to remember to thank them.
They're all pieces of the jigsaw.
Absolutely.
And it's very hard, especially in your situation when it's life-threatening, to just say thank you doesn't seem enough. And a couple of episodes back, I spoke to a mate who had been in a horrific accident and become a paraplegic, and he just couldn't work out what it was he was going to say thank you. And there was 4 paramedics that basically kept him alive on the roadside until help came.
Yeah.
And he was ex-military, so it all was relative to his past. But basically, he just rocked up to the paramedic station with 4 medals. And all the medals said is thank you, his name, because he could not think of anything else to say than thank you.
Yeah.
But it was just a powerful statement to be able to, being in the position that he was in, to then be able to go and say thank you, because that was, at that time, was probably didn't look like that it was ever going to happen. But to just say thank you, and that's all it is. And as you said, it can be from the janitor at the hospital right through to your partner. You just got to say thank you and know that that's enough. But because sometimes you can't say any more than that.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't need to.
No.
But for me, I was one of the side effects of some of the illnesses I've had, and some of the outcomes from that is no more tattoos.
Yeah,
a bit disappointing because I was halfway through one.
I've seen that when you were pushing your 100 kilos up. I've seen the tat. So
yeah, there's a couple, but there's one here that's not finished.
Yeah.
But there's one that I've got hidden underneath my watch band here.
Yeah.
And it's there, and it's just for me.
Yeah.
I'll show you. And it's just my reminder. Can you read that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just for me to go, make sure you thank people today.
Yeah.
And I can remember waking up from the last surgery, and I'd been unconscious for days. Not that I knew that when I was waking up. And they had me in a ward of 2 nurses looking after just me 24/7.
Yep.
And I can remember just over and over just saying thank you. So I think it's, for me, it's pretty important.
Wow. Well, mate, we'll wrap it up there. It's an absolutely amazing story, and you've been, to hell and back basically, and but continue to bounce up, and I think attack life with a smile on your face, and strive to keep moving forward, which is an absolute credit to you. And I once again just thank you for being on the wire. It's been a pleasure having you on, and look forward to catching up some stage down the track, and we might have a beer.
I think we will have a beer.
Good on you, mate.
All right, thanks, mate.
Appreciate you on, and so, but just before we close, anyone wants to look more into your story or get in contact with you or whatever, is there anywhere that they can find you on the internet, website? Yep.
Yeah, it's all pretty easy. 3 words, That Heart Guy.
Yep.
If you Facebook that, Google that, you'll find me.
Website, Facebook page, etc.
Website, Facebook page. And on there, I'm not hidden. I've got my mobile phone number there.
Cool.
Email address is there.
Yep.
More than happy to come out and chat to people.
Fantastic, mate. You're doing a good job. Thanks for being on, and we'll catch up soon.
Good on you, buddy.
Righto, cheers. Bye.
Yeah.